Have you ever really truly stopped to wonder what you are? I don't mean your name or your job, but what's actually going on in your own experience, moment to moment? Well, today we're diving into a beautiful ancient text that's about 2,000 years old, and it uses these incredible metaphors from nature to answer that exact question. It's really a guide to seeing ourselves and the world with a kind of radical clarity. So the source for this whole explainer is right here. The Sutra on What is Carried Away by Foam. It's an ancient Buddhist teaching, and we're going straight to the source to unpack its timeless and honestly pretty mind-blowing wisdom.
The whole teaching kicks off in a really simple way. Picture the Buddha standing by a river with his followers. He doesn't start with some heavy, complex theory. He just points to a clump of foam floating by and asks a question. He asks them to just look. And that's really our invitation today, too. To just look, but to look closely.
So the game plan in this sutra is pretty brilliant. It's to deconstruct our idea of a solid self into 5 separate flowing parts, 5 pieces that make up, well, every single moment of our lives. By taking a close look at each one, we can start to see things in a totally new light. Okay, first up, the most obvious part of us, right? Our physical existence. The sutra calls this form, and it gives it this really powerful and maybe even a little surprising metaphor.
So this first component is form. That's our physical bodies, the material world, everything you can touch. And it feels pretty solid, doesn't it? I mean, the chair you're sitting on, the device you're watching this on. But the Buddha says, hey, look closer. It's like a heap of foam. From far away, foam looks like a solid thing. But get right up to it, and what is it? It's just this fragile collection of air and water, constantly shifting, popping, changing.
And that's the first big aha moment. When we really investigate our physical world with that kind of attention, we see it's not some static, solid object. It's a dynamic process. It's always changing, it's impermanent, and you know what? It's not nearly as solid as it first appears.
All right, so from the physical stuff, the teaching moves inward, into the world of our actual experience. This next part is all about what we feel from one moment to the next. Every single sensation, the joy you get from good news, the sting of a harsh word, or even just that neutral feeling of the air on your skin, all of that is what the sutra calls feeling. And the metaphor for it? A water bubble. I mean, just think about that for a second. A bubble appears, it shimmers for an instant, and poof, it's gone. That's exactly the nature of our feelings. So this shows us that even our most intense, overwhelming emotions are just as temporary as a bubble. They pop up, they exist for a little bit, and then they fade away. They aren't some permanent fixture of who we are. They're just passing events in our awareness. Okay, next up, we're looking at the part of our mind that's constantly identifying and labeling everything. This is what we call our perception. Perception is basically how we make sense of everything. We see a certain shake, and our mind just slaps a label on it, tree. We hear a vibration, and we call it music. But the sutra compares this to a summer mirage. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That shimmering pool of water you see on a hot road way off in the distance. It looks absolutely 100% real. But as you get closer, you realize it was never there at all. It was just an illusion created by the conditions. So what does that mean? It means our labels, our mental pictures of the world. They aren't the world itself. They're just our interpretations, our mental constructs. And just like the foam and the bubbles, they don't have any solid, independent reality of their own. Now we get to the last 2 layers of our experience. And these are maybe the most subtle ones. Our mental habits and the actual stream of awareness that's experiencing this whole show. So, formations. This is all about our mental habits, our biases, our intentions, all the stuff we usually think of as the core of me, right? My personality. The metaphor for this is just perfect. A banana tree. If you've ever tried to find the solid wood core of a banana tree, you know what happens. You can peel away layer after layer after layer, but you will never find a solid center. The tree is its layers. There's nothing else inside. And finally, we have consciousness, that basic awareness that knows I'm seeing, I'm hearing, I'm feeling. This is compared to a magician's illusion. Now, an illusion isn't nothing, right? It appears, it has an effect, it can totally captivate us, but it isn't what it seems to be. And the sutra is suggesting that our consciousness is just like that, a kind of magical, flickering process, not some solid, unchanging thing that's doing the watching. And so, when we look closely, Even our deepest character traits, even the very light of our awareness, are found to have this same flowing, insubstantial, and impermanent nature.
So we've kind of taken the self apart piece by piece. Now, what happens when we put it all back together with this new understanding? What's the ultimate wisdom here? What's the big takeaway?
This table just lays it all out so perfectly. Our body, it's like foam. Our feelings, they're like bubbles. Our perceptions of the world, a mirage. Our habits and personality, a coreless tree. And our consciousness itself, a magician's trick. See the pattern? Each metaphor is pointing to the exact same truth. Everything is constantly changing, and nothing has a solid, independent self at its core.
The sutra then wraps all of this up in this simple, incredibly elegant verse, bringing all 5 of those natural images together. It's really like a poem about the nature of reality and the nature of us. And this, right here, is the absolute heart of it. This teaching is not saying that you don't exist. Of course you exist. It's saying you don't exist as a fixed, separate, solid thing. Instead, you exist as a dynamic, interconnected, and constantly flowing process. You're way more like a river than a rock, more like a verb than a noun. And all of this leaves us with a final, really powerful question to sit with. If this self that we work so hard to protect and promote isn't some solid thing, but just a flowing process, what does that mean for our fears, for our attachments, for our whole search for happiness? If we are not a fixed thing, what does it truly actually mean to be free?